Hey, RezaieStrong followers, Salim Rezaie here. In this technological age of Zoom meetings, it seems like more and more of us are having meetings from home via Zoom. And I don't know about you, but I get exhausted from all the being online and back to back to back meetings. And I came across this paper that was actually done by Microsoft. It was done in their human factors lab back in 2021. And it was kind of fascinating in terms of what they found and what they did. And I felt like it was worth going through that for best practices for those of us that are online all the time having to do meetings. So what they did is they got 14 people and they put all of them through four 30-minute meetings online via Zoom. And what was interesting is they all wore these little hats that did electroencephalograms or EEGs to monitor the electrical activity of the brain. And what they basically did is they said on one Monday, we're going to do the four 30-minute meetings back to back to back, no breaks. The following Monday, we're going to do four meetings, but we're going to give 10-minute breaks between the meetings. And during those 10-minute breaks, we're going to do meditation. So here's the first thing that they found in their study is that breaks between meetings reduces stress. So the top line is no breaks. And before we get into what the colors mean, at the bottom left of the screen, I have blue being less stress and orange being more stress. And the way they looked at this is they looked at the beta waves in the brain to basically elucidate how much stress a person was having. So now back to the top line where they had to do four meetings back to back to back. You can see as they went from meeting to meeting, they went from blue to yellow to orange. They just got more and more stressed, more beta waves in their brain. The subsequent Monday, when they were taking 10-minute breaks with meditation, they did four meetings again. And as you can see, with a 10-minute break between meetings, the amount of stress or beta waves in the brain was never increased. And so people were less stressed taking breaks between meetings. So that was the first finding that I found kind of fascinating is stop stacking your meetings back to back to back to back and make sure you give yourself a little mental break in between meetings. The second thing that they found is that they looked at the frontal part of the brain. They looked for alpha waves. Alpha waves are a sign of engagement and focus. And what they found is that people who didn't take breaks between meetings actually had a negative deflection of alpha waves. They had far less of them, which means as the meetings were going on, they were becoming less engaged and less focused. But in the second group where they did take those 10-minute breaks with meditation, what they found is that those positive alpha waves actually went up. In other words, they were more focused and more engaged by taking breaks between meetings. So this is the second reason why we should stop stacking these meetings back to back to back. The final finding, and I had to think about this one for a second, is that when we transition from one meeting to another meeting, there's a sense of stress in terms of finding the right link, being on time. And what they found is, sure enough, in the group that took no breaks, if you just went from meeting to meeting to meeting, you were just completely stressed the entire time. During the meeting, between meetings, it didn't matter. Your beta waves remained elevated throughout. For the group that took breaks, what they found is that by doing that 10-minute break, it eased stress between meetings. So it was almost like a mental reset before you started the next meeting. So what was the takeaway of this for those of us that are doing online meetings? Well, we should probably be taking breaks between meetings to allow our brain to reset. Just going from meeting to meeting to meeting is going to decrease our focus and decrease our engagement, which means we're not going to get as much out of the meetings. And then transitioning between meetings is a source of stress. And so giving yourself a little bit of time to find the right link and make sure you're going to be on time are probably all best practices. So there you go, back-to-back Zoom meetings and taking breaks. I thought it was an interesting study. The fact that they actually looked at brain waves to kind of confirm these findings was really fascinating to me. I hope this helps those of you that are doing meetings, and as you're scheduling them, try and make sure you give yourself breaks. Thank you as always for tuning in, and until next time.